Hello again, Misfits, and welcome to another 1-minute review. Of course, you know, times may vary depending on your time zone. Guys, we're going to talk about Dark Tower in this one. Now, I'm trying to pick Halloween tree kind of games, and Dark Tower is actually a really hot game right now. Actually, the second Kickstarter, I think, just ended yesterday, as a matter of fact, which I, of course, dumped too much money on. I picked this up at Gen Con because it's been talked about heavily, and I don't regret it for a minute. We busted this game out relatively quickly, and everybody was just super impressed about how it worked. And let me go into that here real quick. So obviously you have your forenamed Dark Tower, and like in many other videos you've heard of probably, it does its own thing. It comes alive, it has lights, it has areas for these symbols, and they spin around and everything while you play, and they dump skulls out. Very, very cool, and that's largely where a lot of your money is going into when you buy this game. But let me go over the game itself first. You play one of 4 heroes that basically has each a region in this land where the Dark Tower is the middle of. And basically you're going around basically squashing threats. It's a very co-op based game. You're all trying to defeat the Dark Tower and the uber bad of the Dark Tower together. He has a funny name too. I can't even remember his name, but we were making fun of it for a while. So you kind of go around and you have enemies that come out, and side note, you should get definitely all the minis for this game that they offer separately. But enemies come out in the land and they'll spawn, and you have an app actually that works alongside it as well. And it'll tell you where enemies spawn and what to do. And it controls the Dark Tower as well, because the Dark Tower will light up and do different things. And depending on where it puts glyphs in different areas, it gives you bonuses. And it'll eventually spit skulls out as well, which skulls go on your little locations right here, which are locations where you can buy cards from the market, and you have different gears and different potions and things you could buy. But the problem is, if you get more than 3 skulls in there, so you get 3 on there and another one comes out and you have to put it on that thing, this area will get destroyed. It'll get blown up. And that's not good, because that's one of the losing factors of the game. If too much gets blown up, game over. Or if you have too many skulls and you run out of skulls, game over. There's a couple different ways you could lose in this game. So you move your guys around the areas, and it's an action-based game. You run around basically trying to squash these bad guys that come out, and they have all kinds of, fantasy theme-based stuff. And you go around, you solve everything by using these counters you have. Now, it's kind of funny, actually. Pretty much everything costs this. You either have life counters, they're called like your soldiers or military, like the guys following you. I guess they're super expendable, because everything you do in the game costs either these guys or these magic tokens here. So you'll go through and you'll do little things in the app as well. You have like it was like dungeons. You remember the dungeons, right, Tom, where you go through and you pick different ways to go, and every way costs you some of these or some of these. And that's really the whole gist of the game, is managing, almost micromanaging your resources, because these are your main everything. These are everything. These do everything for you in the game. Anytime you beat guys or do things, it's basically costing you one or the other. And each hero has their own different shtick where they get little benefits and get more of one thing or another. I played the Warlord a lot, so we got extras of these, so I handle a lot of the physical threats. And that's really kind of where the gist of the gameplay comes in, just micromanaging these and getting more of that stuff in, gearing up your guy, getting potions. The big problem, where another way you lose, is you get corruption. If you can't ever pay for any kind of challenge you do or an enemy, you get a corruption card, which not only slows you down and gives you problems, but if you get 3 corruptions, you're dead and the game automatically ends. If anybody dies, another way the game ends. The game ends in a lot of different ways. But otherwise, you have big bads you fight. You have like a mini boss that comes out at some point you have to fight, and then you have a big boss. And much like another game I reviewed, My Father's Work, the app does a lot of fun stuff in this game, and it does randomize things a bit based on who you pick, because there are multiple different bad guys you could pick, different mini bosses you could pick as well, and it changes the scenario. So there's literally different scenarios that you do. Like we did a river of fire, right? We had like we put these things down to basically cover the lakes and rivers in fire and stuff like that. So it has different variations on different stories on how you take on the Dark Tower. It's actually really, really cool on how it does that. I love this game. I love this game. It was a lot of fun. I was super impressed with the tower, everything it brought to the table. As always, I want more content for stuff. They already put out a couple of expansions for it that like I said, the Kickstarter I think ended yesterday for it. It's just an awesome, and it's an impressive game. Like, you put this on the table, it's just impressive. Like, you guys were, Mr. Tom, everybody's jaws were like, what the heck is this? Their jaws were just dropping, because it's just super impressive, everything the tower does. So everything's on point with this game. The minis are great. I will say this is the base game. They offer another mini pack for like 60 or 70 bucks. While it kind of, it hits your wallet really hard. The minis definitely are, and you can watch our unboxing video if you want to see all the minis, actually. I'm sure Mr. Tom will put it down in the description somewhere.
I'll put it up on the top right.
Put it on the top right.
Top, other way.
Oh, other way. Sorry. That's whatever. Anyway, you get the idea, guys. But the minis are super, super impressive, and you want them. You want this game to look as impressive as possible. The production quality is astounding. And so you want to get this extra box of minis. And it replaces all these silly little chits. I even have them down here. I was like, what do these things do? I'm like, oh, these are the enemies. Normally you just get this for your enemy. Whatever. You want to get these minis and put these minis on the table. Then your whole board is filled with minis and it looks amazing. That said, it does hit the wallet hard. It is not a cheap game, but it is a very impressive, and I honestly don't regret it buying this game for an instant. So basically, this game is, and we're doing a new scoring system here. We're gonna work with scores. We're doing 1 through 5. 5 as in you have to have it for your library. 1 as in set it on fire in the backyard. I'm gonna give this game actually, I'll give it a 4. Well, the reason I say a 4 and not a 5 is just because of the cost. It is a very expensive game. I absolutely love it, and for me personally, it's a 5. Like, I love having it in my library. Is it for everybody? Yeah, but it's gonna cost you. It's gonna cost you an arm and a leg. It is a very expensive game. It doesn't necessarily need to be in your library, but I would highly recommend getting it and putting it in your library. It's just a super, super impressive game. I loved it, absolutely loved it, and I'm going to play it a heck of a lot. But there's some people, you know, cost-wise, you can get a couple different games, you know, that are good as well. This is almost like a good way to put it is like almost like an art piece. You know, you love having it. I love this game. I love owning it.
Go in with your friends on it.
Going with your friends on it, even better. Actually, yeah, if you can split up the cost, because you're going to get this and you're going to want to get the minis. Without a doubt, you're going to want to get the minis, and then you're looking at $200+, you know, for that. So while you split it up with friends, however you want to do it, because while the game itself is a great game and it's an amazing game and it's definitely worth the cost, it does have a huge price tag involved. So, I mean, got to keep that in mind. But would I own it? Yeah, I absolutely loved getting it. So that's kind of my thoughts on it, guys. I absolutely love it. But again, if you don't want to dump $200, there are definitely other ways you can do it. But a knockout hit. I absolutely love it and play the heck out of it. I think that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to like, subscribe, of course, guys. And remember, the Dark Tower owns you. Or do you own it? I don't know. I can't ever really tell. It talks to me all the time. Game on, guys. Take care.
It talks to you at night when you're sleeping?
Yes, it does.
Oh, well, I think we may have a problem here.
It just tells me to kill. I ignore it. I put it back in its box.
Just so you ignore it?
Yes. No, I ignore it. It tells me to kill. I pick it up at night. It glows. I do this. I'm like, yes.
You sleep with it, don't you? Yes. It's next to your pillow.
It told me not to tell you, okay?